Total War Warhammer 3 is not a strategy game, it's a public health crisis. And you are not a doctor, you're patient zero. You're not here to cure the disease, you are the disease. In a game where you can play as the humans if you got a thing for gunpowder, bureaucracy and untreated depression, or maybe you'd rather be the dwarves, an entire species of vitamin D deficiency with a sexual attraction to geological formations. But if you consider hygiene to be a personal insult,
I used to use a dead rat as an alarm clock, actually.
There's only one choice, Nurgle's Gifted. With a goal that isn't world domination, that's just a fever dream. Your real mission is to achieve a perfect planetary infection. In this world, your worth is directly proportional to how many biohazards you trigger. And in that metric, Tamurkhan isn't just winning, he is the metric. He's a heaving, pulsating sack of divine contamination blessed by Grandfather Nurgle himself. The campaign begins in a pristine wonderland of uninfected meat. Everything is clean, vibrant, and for Nurgle standards at least, deeply offensive. Naturally, I solved this through careful agriculture, by which I mean I had Tamurkhan pick up an unsuspecting Scandinavian man and proceed to fuse him with the ground. And after taking Gallows Tree, I realized that Tamurkhan is lonely, and that his real power isn't just in spreading plagues, it's in spreading himself. Across the world you'll encounter mighty champions, sex criminals, even a bald man, each with their own story, their own ambitions, and their own tragic lack of immunity. One by one you'll convince them to join your crusade for the ancient art of friendship. Kazak, for instance, is your typical Nurgle hero, filthy, treacherous, and shaped like severe scoliosis. He joins you because deep down he realizes it's either serve Tamurkhan or become Tamurkhan. Same outcome really. Each legendary hero you recruit makes your army stronger, more disgusting, and significantly less likely to pass a health inspection. You're not building an army. You're assembling a biological weapon with self-esteem issues. So I recruited every spawnable abomination I could because unlike normal factions, Tamurkhan doesn't build barracks. He runs an incubator. You buy one building and watch it slowly cultivate a fresh batch of clinical sign every few turns. Naturally, I was at war with Kholek, because of course I was. Marching south towards the floating mountains, my beast of Nurgle faced an ethical dilemma. While devouring the enemy alive isn't explicitly banned by the Geneva Convention, I feel like it probably should be. Soon after, I unlocked the core mechanic of our faction, Plagues, where you get to mix and match fun and elaborate symptoms to create your own personalized strain of humanitarian catastrophe. Running low on culturable units, I did the next logical thing. I recruited a new lord, a herald of Nurgle named Blisterskin. This heaping pile of compost isn't just repulsive, but also sentient. After taking Dragon's Death, I met Kholek Suneater, which is also the guy you fight when God stops helping you. This of course was very bad, so I had to do something. I gave Tamurkhan cancer and hid near my lands. Kholek saw through this masterful ambush. The fight began with abusing the AI, depressing mental state. I had Kazak and the boys attack their back line, while the main army distracted Kholek with the subtlety of a chemical spill. This worked perfectly until Kholek decided to use his superior mass to start bashing on the weak and deranged. Tamurkhan somehow managed to survive like bacteria after soap, and Kholek was never the same because he died. To proceed my expansion, I had to make a choice, none of which are good. To the north, Archaon, east, Chaos Dwarfs, west, mountains, and south we have the British. Seeing that the Tusk Sons were already decomposing on my border, I did the humane thing, forceful euthanasia. I had Tamurkhan put several decomposing child goblin workers, trying to provide for their families, out of their misery. A very grueling task, but someone has to do it. After winning that battle, I was not only morally absent, but immediately extorted by Grimgor. He demanded 1200 gold, and the safe icon turned out to be a complete lie. I accepted the protection fee, except he's not protecting me, but robbing me in broad daylight. Taking out my anger on nearby settlements, I ended the Tusk Sons right near Saber Mountains, home to the Saberskin, who were just unlucky geographically and emotionally. So I killed them. Meanwhile, Kazak wanted to fight Chaos, which was inconvenient because the nearest Chaos was Archaon and I was not yet suicidal. So instead, using my friendship points, I recruited Izar Doombolt, a man who professionally steals and recreationally hates greenskins. I sent him to Tamurkhan's army to enact my great 4-step market manipulation plan. Step 1. Steal. Step 2. steal some more. Step 3. Hire heroes because diamonds are apparently sentient. And step 4. Sell the mediocre province back to the orc with anger issues. Temporary peace, permanent profit. I also unlocked Mournhowl, a feral beast driven mad by exposure. To me, probably. Relatable. But then Archaon declared war. This was bad because he is far away, very strong and statistically relevant. But Archaon didn't realize he fell right into my trap. Now I had enough reason to once again give Tamurkhan cancer. This had the unfortunate side effect of causing Tamurkhan to experience a schizophrenic episode where he hears his imaginary friends argue. The trick here is to not take sides that will just empower the voices. Now before we reach the plains of Zanbaijin, you might have noticed our failing economy. Well yes, Nurgle suffers from a constant stream of economic depression, but I have a solution. By researching advanced market tactics of spreading plagues inwards, we can also sell the solution. Reaching the plains, I was met with Entiro Kurgantamer and 60 people he found at the homeless shelter, but he was not alone. He was joined by something. I don't know what it is and I'm afraid to check. This of course attracted the hostility of Archaon, who took a single glance at Tamurkhan and immediately dipped. It was also at this point I was almost a global power. I realized it when I started receiving extortion money from my neighbors. In the next turn finally, I faced Archaon. I almost auto-resolved, but I didn't. I managed to figure out Archaon's biggest weakness, depression, that came in the form of the current patch. The cavalry flanked, Archaon decided to handle it like most of us handle our problems. Not at all. This inevitably led to Archaon himself having to fight my cavalry, which did not bring him much, except inevitable agony. Utilizing my enemy's lack of brain activity, I sent my main force, in which I mean I had Tamurkhan start bashing aggressively against a unit with noticeably less mass than him, and I won. In the following turns, Archaon died as I was not the one to pull the trigger. I take no legal responsibility. Afterward, Grimgor decided to break our non-aggression pact, which is really bad, but I also met my two new neighbors, Orbal and Dikasor. Deciding to be proactive, I declared war on Grimgor, where I sacrificed several men for money and a fictional treaty between a disease-ridden demon from hell and an angry orc. Avenging my fallen soldiers, I started violating Dekasor's space with violent tendencies, where I cornered Step Dekasor against the wall, while giving Tamurkhan the disease of a big inflamed limb. Reaching the Howling Citadel, I enacted what would inevitably be the future, which is sending Tamurkhan and his 5 friends of questionable backgrounds on mortals with rapidly expiring life expectancies. They managed to win by themselves. After the battle, Kazak was finally ready to be devoted, which means I have to fight a quest battle I don't want to. A few turns later, after killing several demons and the concept of restraint, I managed to reach Epidemius, another Nurgle champion, a problem for later. So unsure of how to develop my violent tendencies, I did the obvious thing, ended my imaginary treaties with Orbal, and decided to place my soldiers inside his borders. Now as my reliability was already questionable, this wouldn't really affect me. But before that, I also got 2 new chieftains, a walking fishman and Grukmur, a man I found at the homeless shelter. I fought Orbal. Luckily, I possessed his biggest weakness, a giant lizard mounted by a worm with visions of grandeur. After going in for a second round of constantly declining morality, I not only showed that Tamurkhan is very violent, but also got my hands on the Helm of Dreska. Very cool. Back to the southern hellscape, I had a new lord, whom I gave a chosen of Nurgle and a couple of malaria-infused mosquitoes. This action brought an immediate economic collapse, so I had to remove the mosquitoes, which honestly barely helped. But giving him a flaccid organ, I not only reduced his upkeep, but also his dignity. What came after was me stealing a copious amounts of money from the impoverished orcs.
I love stealing things.
And because I can't have enough problems, someone detonated a thermonuclear bomb on my province. A very weird act, because I don't have any Skaven factions near me. But taking out Arbal settlements, I was finally at the point of getting the last chieftain, who is not only bald, but also incredibly racist. I had finally united all of Tamurkhan's schizophrenic family. But the game was not yet done, as I was attacked by Grimgor. Obviously, I proceeded to take his land, and when offering it back to him, this is a big problem. Not only that, Arabal went around and started razing my lands, while simultaneously decomposing all my property. And Tamurkhan's schizophrenic episodes started to spiral. The voices were no longer satisfied with being equal. With Arabal finally relocated, I could focus on what's actually important. The Taliban, led by Grimgor, in my southern territory. Luckily, he was fighting 3 wars simultaneously, and I could go around and terrorize the local greenskins with my presence. In this, Blisterskin has proven to be exceptionally dirty and left me with a choice. Not a good one, even by my own standards. I can A. keep him as a disappointment, B. delay the choice by 10 turns, or C. make him a great unclean one, making him not only ugly but also fat. I chose C, obviously. This tender family moment was of course overshadowed by Tamurkhan unlocking Dreska's power. Very cool, very edgy. Fortunately, Grimgor picked this exact moment to attack, giving me a chance to test out Blisterskin's new plus-sized form. I tried to watch the battle, but I was repeatedly flashbanged by what I can only assume is an orbital laser reflecting off a puddle. This battle was a decisive victory, allowing me to offer Grimgor another one of my very lucrative peace treaties. He gets a province of questionable value, and I get 30,000 gold and 10 turns of uninterrupted peace, and also a chance to prepare for his inevitable and frankly predictable betrayal, a steal. Before moving south with Tamurkhan and his dysfunctional schizophrenic family, it was time for a quest battle, which well started with Tamurkhan waddling towards several units of very feeble flesh and bones and proceeding to waddle over them. This gave me the Black Cleaver. Such an action obviously triggered Tamurkhan's schizophrenic episode, where he witnessed the sex criminal have an altercation with the Fishman. This ended with Mournhowl wounding Ketsak and also Tamurkhan's waning sanity. The next battle was a devoted battle for Kazak. Now this was a bit tricky. Fatsod is invulnerable and I do not read the instructions. This was quickly rectified with Tamurkhan bashing the plague-ridden with 100 tons of lizard. After yet another episode of hearing voices saying bad things, I did the reasonable thing and removed 11 units from my army. This not only increased my prosperous economy, but also allowed me to once again reduce it, which I did, hiring Uzul Magath, and after 8 turns I once again ruined my reliability by throwing it down a mountain. I declared war on Grimgor and proceeded to act completely dishonorably. Once I arrived at the siege of the Silver Pinnacle, I had Tamurkhan walk through their walls and on top of their units, where he single-handedly stayed and then proceeded to kill 425 units alone. This ended obviously in a decisive victory, but this joy was inevitably short-lived, as I soon realized upon getting to the very next province that I have to manually fight every single battle, which meant I had to watch Tamurkhan and the gang stand and fight for 10 minutes every single time. This of course brought me a lot of joy that I had wanted to take out on Epidemius, but I noticed that he was only 5.7 friendship points away from a permanent confederation. With Grimgor having 2 provinces left, he reappeared only to be immediately captured by the local patrol. Seeing that my progress was going exceptionally well, I was immediately attacked by Grease's Goldtooth and his 4 camps mustering in his capital. Luckily, this gave me enough justification to take over his land, as it is part of my short campaign victory. I also checked my standing in the world and we are sitting at a comfortable 7, which is also Nurgle's favorite number. The more you know, meaning I'm only aware of 3 people stronger than me, 2 Germans and a rat. In the following turns, I tried to constantly bribe Epidemius, and this guy was really starting to test our Nurgle brotherhood. And after I had Uzal walk up to Goldtooth and proceed to bash his shit in, This not only removed Goldtooth from the game, but also gave me great joy. After removing Goldtooth, I had only a single task left, devotion battles for my aggressive imaginations. I began with the sex criminal Mornhowl, where I had to kill Skarlsbane before he kills the lobotomized skin wolves that are just standing there. I did this by sending Tamurkhan against the 18 units of underprivileged beastmen, while I had the rest of the gang go against Skarlsbane. This ended in exactly the way that you would expect. The gang was unable to kill Skarlsbane without Tamurkhan, proving once again how useless they actually are. With Mornhow's battle finished, I moved on to Ether, and being a massive racist, his battle was against the only race he hates more than himself, greenskins. This mission was a lot more simple than the former. I had to destroy a rogue idol, which is a massive walking stone with about the same sentience level as Blisterskin. This turned out to be a lot more difficult. As it turns out, concentrated fire against Tamurkhan does in fact manage to hurt him. This forced me to do the unthinkable, use my abilities. One, which heals the target, that combined with Tamurkhan's natural healing capabilities as a worm turned it quite easy. With that battle done, I had finally achieved a short campaign victory, but I was not yet done. I decided to confederate Epidemius before he forced me to confederate him through force, which in fact turned out to be a massive mistake, and to unite all the Nurgle factions, I went south to find Kugaf. Unfortunately, Kugaf perished to sanitation facilities created by the geriatric. I also decided to engage in proactive diplomacy, where I started giving factions around the world my mediocre settlements for their permanent support as my vassal. This works surprisingly well on Clan Wars, which is ranked number 2 in the world. So somehow, becoming a global hegemony, I was still at rank 5. Well, if you want to see me tackle on sexual depravity as a purple STD with mommy issues, consider subscribing. Well, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Bye.